All right, folks, welcome into the High School Huddle, bringing you all the best sports coverage here in Section 5. I'm AJ Feldman. Joining me virtually, as always, is Carl Jones. And this week we got a little bit of a special show for us. We like bringing on people to the show, share their perspectives. This week, even more important than that, Carl, why don't you tell us a little bit about the guests we've got coming on here today?
Yeah, we got Mr. and Mrs. Primetime, 585, Karen and Gerard Iglesia. I mean, they're a fun tandem. Obviously, you guys have, if you've been around Section 5 basketball recently, and now of late, all sports,
everything,
man.
Wrestling, bowling, swimming, hockey.
I'm seeing skiing now. Skiing, like,
yeah.
So they're everywhere, and they're fan favorites. They every time they walk into a gym or a field, they light it up. The student section, the kids love them. They have a great insight considering that they've been around a little bit. And I've only been here a couple months, and I feel like they're a great resource for me to have when I'm at games in terms of just talking about life in general. So you guys will hear some of that in the interview, AJ as well. So, I mean, they were an awesome time to talk to.
All right, folks, we are pleased to have joining with us Karen and Gerard Iglesia of Primetime 585. They are taking Section 5 by storm. They have become the faces of Section 5 in many ways. We're thrilled to have them on. They've got a lot of stuff going on, especially this week. How are you guys doing today?
Great. I'm doing good. How are you doing, AJ?
I'm doing well. Yeah, they've got tons of great stuff going on in the community. They've done, the food drives, the toy drives, the holiday drives, things of that nature. Just doing some really great stuff. So yeah, I just want to, start off with, how'd you guys really kind of, you guys were covering basketball before and things like that, but really over the last years, it's just exploded. What kind of made you guys want to branch out here?
Well, the kids, AJ, we are very student centered. So we started actually it was a couple football players. It started with a couple football players, and they said, listen, I know you give a lot of basketball love. Can you just do one or two football games? So I said, the way we are, we just can't do one or two games. We just either got to be in or we got to be out. So we announced we're doing football, and football took over. The football families, parents, kids were just different.
But it wasn't that bad doing football. I mean, it's tough, but they only play on Friday and Saturday.
Right.
And then we made the mistake of saying, we're going to do all sports.
It wasn't a mistake. The power of social media, right? So as a social media platform, what you find is that it's mostly followed by a lot of people, like under 25 is like this is all they have. Their phone is literally their lifeline. So it became so popular that the inbox demand was crazy. So I said, you know what? Let's just try covering sports. So I was like, oh boy, that was, since then, I don't think we've had, today's a snow day, I'm kind of happy. But we love it though, because, sports, what we actually found, AJ, is that it didn't matter the sport. Like I used to make fun of like the bowlers and the swimmers, like, are you really, but what I found is swimming is probably the most intense preparation.
Yeah, most rigorous.
By
practice
far.
every day,
By
single day except Christmas.
By far, probably the best type of athlete there is, overall athlete. So I found that out. And then the parents are the same. Like, we're going to
bowling. No, bowling is different. The bowling parents are different. They're quiet and everything.
Chill.
Yeah, they must look at us like we're crazy.
But like the swimming parents are still riled up. So for what we do as cheerleaders, Section 5, this sport didn't matter. It's the same outcome, right? So that's intoxicating for us because, especially when you do like the swimming, the bowling, and all these other sports that rarely get coverage, like we'll do bowling or we'll do swimming. My inbox for like the next 2 days are dumb because the parents are thankful, the kids are thankful.
Yeah, and we say we love our job because every day we see something great happening in sports, and every day we meet good people.
Yeah,
so it's
the best free job there is.
Yeah.
Once again, I'm very excited to talk to you guys. I've been here a few months now, and I feel like every single time I link up with you guys, I learn something new about you guys, so it's fun. But it would be remiss for me not to bring this up. Everywhere you guys go, it's kind of like the fan favorite. Obviously, everyone's there watching the games, but they see you guys, and it brings a joy to everyone. What is the I guess your favorite part of doing what you do? Is it that aspect of it, or I know we talked around signing day in December. You said that like one of your favorite parts was just seeing the kids go on to the next level and get and share that type of love. So like, what is the most exciting part about what you do?
I would say probably when you see kids like yesterday went to Jaleel Johnson's sign, right? When you see a young man and you see any athlete sign to go play collegiate, any sport, there's all kinds of things that goes through your head. The parents just saved $250,000, right? Like it's free money, free college, free education. So you always, as a parent, we're celebrating that for the parents, right? And then you're thinking, this kid has grinded in football, sacrificed his body. He's done all the extra stuff. So I think the best thing for us is seeing all the hard work, all the grind for young people pay off. And you see them as, wow, they've made it. And it doesn't matter if it's Division 1, 2, or 3 for us. We just want to see, it's like what, 5-6% of people play collegiate sport from high school?
Not even that.
Not even that, right? So we celebrate all of that. We love it. Like we do the lacrosse signings. We've done them all. And it's the same result. These kids are high school sports is its purest of form. When you go to college, you know this, Carl, it's kind of like a job.
Yeah. Well, it's not kind of, it is.
It's, and you're thinking, although you're happy for them, the grind is different, right? Like, so that they think they have their freedom to do anything, but there's morning lift and afternoon this, there's study hall, there's travel time. And people don't understand, you're parents of an athlete, you're an athlete. We understand that we have to try to find a block of time to get in because he has to go lifting in the morning. We got to do this. And that's something that it's a dedication that they put in. So we celebrate that kind of stuff. When kids are dedicated to their craft like that, you got to celebrate it.
I think you're giving Carl PTSD about all that. Yeah. And kind of touching on that, I feel like Rochester sports, it's always been a little bit difficult to kind of get recruited around here and things of that nature. But it seems like that might be turning a little bit. We're getting a lot of kids going to different levels, basketball, a ton, football, things like that. Do you feel that kind of changing in the past few years? And if so, what do you think's kind of led to that?
You want to take this one?
Yeah, I think on the basketball side, the EYBL has helped a lot. We've had a lot of talented players go through the like the City Rocks program or whatever, and that's given them exposure. I talked to a friend of mine. He used to play in Rochester. He was a college coach. He said it's hard for Rochester because there's not a lot of direct flights into Rochester for coaches. Mm-hmm. So if they hear of somebody, they got to fly to DC, then fly to or whatever. And that's just, while they could stay in their own backyard and see a bunch of kids, and so it's hard to recruit out of Rochester to go through all that just to see one kid. But it is getting better. Like in the last few years, it's been like the golden age of basketball for college players from Rochester. And as far as football, I'm not as familiar because we're kind of new to that.
But we've seen a change, and I think the major thing for us is always giving kids exposure, where we'll retweet a video, we'll do whatever, because we know we have over 300 college coaches that follow the platform, and people inbox us, like coaches inbox us all the time, and just ask about a kid's character. Did you see him subbing the game? What was his attitude like? They say, well, we've seen his film. We know this person can play, but what are they like? We get that a lot. Where they'll just say, what is this person like? And I'm like, I don't really want to be a part, I don't want to be a part of that because we don't coach the kid. We're just on the sidelines watching them play football. But we try to let the kids know, and we try to give kids advice at that, AJ. Like, that's what we decided. Get a Twitter account because coaches are on Twitter. They're not on Facebook and they're not on Instagram, right? So we use that as a power source for us. Okay, so now that we are getting in touch with so many coaches and coaches are inboxing us. Okay, so every kid get a Twitter account. Make sure it's a name that's not weird, right? Like there's some kids with names,
Yeah, their Twitter handles. They got just put your name on Twitter.
And so we gave that advice because once we see coaches started reaching out to us, we said, okay, this is something that coaches utilize. So we use that as a mechanism to help kids in Section 5. Get a Twitter account, whether he's active or not, get a Twitter account, post your video on Twitter. And I try to tell them, you got to advocate for yourself too. Like, it's hard to get out of Rochester as far as in sports. Not everybody's an Isaiah Stewart, right? Like they come along very, very few. So you got to also post, you got to grind. I look at a kid like Will Benjamin. How is he not getting any offers? Like, how, right? So you have to grind it out. You have to grind that out.
Yeah, and I'll just say that I think that what's really been good is you see all the Rochester coaches and things like that help recruit each other's players. We see, Aquinas, McQuaid, Pittsford. I went down to Pittsford when I was doing a Jackson Green story, and they were like, yeah, I'll have somebody here, and they'll be like, go check out this guy, go check out that guy, go check out this guy. They're kind of helping recruit the entire area, which I think is just a really great thing to see.
But you know what? I found that that's mostly in football. I mean, I don't want to upset any other sport, but in football, I didn't know it's a different mentality with football, AJ. The coaches literally act like all the kids, they'll play against them, but they act like all these kids are theirs. That's more than any other sport. They literally, I'll give you an example. So I interviewed Coach Molinek after he played Monroe, right? What's the kid's name? Sorry, the J. I can't remember the name. Real athletic kid. But this kid was off the chain. Gave them fits from Monroe. I cannot remember his name. He was a freak. He gave them a hard time, right? So I'm interviewing afterwards. The first thing he said in the interview, not that he won, he said, "We gotta find a way how to get this kid seen." I'm sitting there like, what? Like, so I'm used to dealing with like basketball coaches who rarely acts like this, right? Yeah. So in football, he's like, how do we get, isn't that kid remarkable? He's incredible. The whole interview, he talked about the kid he just played against. And then he used a keyword. He says, we got to work on getting this kid into college. And that was my first experience of knowing how football is different from every other sport. So you are right. They do look out for each other. They retweet each other's videos. They all, it's like a camaraderie thing with them. And I respect that a lot.
Jaden Johnson.
Yes,
the receiver there. Yeah. Yeah, I would see him every Monroe game, man. He's just something else. Yeah, and kind of transitioning over to basketball, which of course is your guys' specialty. You've probably, there's a few of us that have been to so many of these basketball games, and you guys are certainly more knowledgeable than just about everybody else. What's kind of, you think, Ben, has been the biggest standout to you so far of the Section 5 basketball season so far?
I think that how wide open it is. I mean, teams that you think are going to just dominate, then they wind up losing to teams that you don't think they would. It's so unpredictable, I should say.
I think it started with double A. There's tiers of teams, right? So there's like an upper tier, then there's a middle tier, but then the middle tier has beaten the upper tier, right? I mean, how sports works. So if there's 14 teams in double A, I mean, you guys do the same thing. You have like, okay, this is the upper tier, this is the middle tier, this is the lower tier. But then you've seen people actually in the lower tier have beaten people in the middle tier. The middle tier, it's literally like Fairport got Scotch-Fish. They all are the same size. If they're clicking, anything could happen. McQuaid has Jack Leisure. And Jack is still what's called a player's coach. He literally could put on sneakers and kill these guys in Section 5. Like, people have no idea.
Jack is nice.
Like, Jack is nice. He practices with his players. So he's a player type coach. So his mentality about how he goes out there and how he coaches his guys is probably more different from anybody in Section 5 because he's literally still playing with these guys Saturday pickup, right? And he's so smart, and he plays that pack.
That pack defense.
That pack defense. You're not getting in the paint, no matter how athletic, unathletic they are. He just mastered that, right? And then you got Coach Roberts from Victor, who is, I consider one of the most elite coaches. Like, anybody that could take a Connor Williams and utilize Connor last year like he did, and how he knows how to put everybody in different positions. like, I'm highly impressed with him.
And he lost most of his people, and he still only has what, one loss?
One loss. Like,
Yeah.
who loses an entire program and still only lose once? Like, seriously.
Yeah, they lost CJ, they lost Connor, they lost, I mean, he just reloads.
You know, I mean, but when you have, do I think that Victor could knock off Aquinas? Do I think McQuaid could knock off Fairport? Like, it's literally.
I think what it comes down to is there are teams who might not be able to win it, but they're capable of knocking one of the front runners off. Yeah. Yeah,
and that's those are the scary teams, right? Like Hilton, Preston Prince dropped 35 last night. Where did you come from? Like against a really good Irondequoit team. So we would have thought that maybe the athleticism of Irondequoit, right, would have given Hilton. Well, Hilton is well coached, the coach Prince, and Irondequoit is well coached also. But the basketball is about matchups, right? And honestly, I think Gerard is right. Somebody gonna upset somebody for sectionals. Somebody's gonna go home really early because it's scary. And Edison is scary, weirdly good. If Mike Morgan, Binion, if all of these guys are on, Freeman, it's like, it's open UPrep. The athleticism, Matthews is probably one of the best guards in Section 5.
Yeah, Matthews is really tough.
Probably one of the best guards in Section 5. It's hard, and then people look at BJ and they see the weight on BJ and don't understand BJ is good.
Brandon Moore,
he is good. Like all of that stuff is all a facade because he moves direction really well. He might not move like he used to last year because he had knee surgery, but oh my goodness, he's scary good too. So I think that there's like 5 or 6 teams in AA that could win it. I really do.
And of course, there's Aquinas, who's
Aquinas it's gonna be tough to stop their athleticism. I mean, this is a podcast that we're gonna keep it real. I mean, Mason Blackwood, I'm gonna put it out there, is his name should be in the conversation for player of the year.
Yeah, easy.
But nobody talks about it, Gerard. It's easy, but because he's so quiet, he just does everything he's supposed to do. He's not flashy. Like people don't understand. He's shooting like 50-some% from 3.
At least
he doesn't take bad shots. He makes
rebounds,
he rebounds. But his name is not even in the conversation. But I consider him one of the best players in Section 5 as a 10th grader. So it's hard to match up with him. His brother is so athletic, it's ridiculous. Then you have Jack Blair, who's also an athlete, but also could be an outside threat, could be a mid. I mean, he could finish at the basket.
And this is all just double A.
Yeah, Michael White, right?
Robert McCullough.
You got Robert McCullough.
Miles Black.
You talk about it, yeah. But my point, buddy, on a bad night, anybody could win. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to bring a little boxing analogy in here, styles make fights, and that'll be a great way. We'll see how this works out in sectionals, but it doesn't have to just be AA and girls or boys. What is a team that's impressed you the most this year?
Canandaigua girls. For me, he'll answer his own. Canandaigua girls. I've never seen Coach Brennan coach these girls, and this is gonna sound really sexist, so I'm gonna say because I'm a woman, like their guys. Their movement, their mannerisms. I've never seen a girls team do as much lobs. 70% of their passes are gonna be lobs. They do the swarm defense where, like, if you're the best person on that team, they're going to swarm you. I mean, they're elite. Maya Herman is good defensively and offensively. To me, as far as what team impressed me, though we already know Menden is elite. Come on, Menden girls elite. We already know. But Canandaigua was that under the radar elite to me. I don't know about you. What about you?
I got a different one.
Okay, go ahead.
Y'all are gonna be surprised with this one.
I know which one.
Waterloo.
I was gonna. It's funny you say no one was expected. I think me and Carl were both expected. We've been talking about Waterloo all season long.
Yeah.
He loved them.
Waterloo. We just saw them for the first time yesterday without Principio. Okay.
Oh wow.
Who's their best player? They move that ball. Nobody holds it for more than 3 seconds. The ball moving is excellent. They defend. They beat Canandaigua, and they're a Class B school. That's not supposed to happen. They beat Canandaigua. They beat Mercy, AA Mercy. They scrimmaged Pittsford Menden.
And
early in the season, and I think they lost by 1 point. They said it was 59-58. So I got to go with Waterloo. For the size school that they are, to do what they're doing, they're undefeated. they're gonna be number one in the state next week because the number one team lost. So
Okay.
Waterloo to me is most impressive.
And then, I mean, you said boys or girls, so to me that's for both teams. I mean, and we've seen for a boy team, Avoca Prattsburgh.
Yeah.
Avoca Prattsburgh in person. Listen, Pacey Hopkins can literally lace up and start for pretty much, except for probably two teams in double A, can start for any team in double A or B.
Yeah.
For a Class D team. The kid is the truth.
Yeah, he's nice. McCoy Putnam is tough.
McCoy Putnam.
Yeah.
DeVoe.
They run up and down that court. Holy cow.
You know, this sounds bad, but it sounds a little bit but what else is new? I say anything. They play like a city team with the running. Like it's a bunch of white boys that could play that intensity. Now, doesn't sound bad.
I shouldn't have said white boys, but yeah, white. Yeah.
But they know what I'm saying, though. Like it's a compliment. Like they're moving back and forth. They're intense. That they're athletes. What did
I would have said the Boston Celtics of '86.
I was like 12. Why the heck am I supposed to know that? You're old. Anywho, okay. Let me just put the thing underneath. I'm not a racist. I'm not all of that stuff.
She's not. She's just crazy.
But I think that both of y'all know what I'm trying to say, right? Like for that Class D, you don't expect that type, and that's why they're blowing everybody. Like, except for one team came within 3, they blow everybody else by like 30 or 40 points. Yeah, because no one can run with them, and the coach is all about that intensity. You can't walk the ball up the court with him, or you're coming out. You got to run. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, you get down to those small school levels. If you throw some aggressiveness at a team, like it takes you, a quarter to get used to it, and by the time that comes, the game's already over.
See, he knew exactly what I was trying to say. He knew what I was trying to say.
You just said it a lot better.
They'll put the thing at the bottom. Carl knows exactly what I'm saying. We've had conversations. Carl keep it real. He might not be able to keep it real on this, but Carl knows what I'm trying to say. But go ahead.
No, we love it. We love it. We talked a little bit about some of the, the top players. Is there a player that's really stood out? Maybe someone who didn't have a big role last year, somebody who, put in a ton of work in the offseason. Maybe you saw them in their camp, be like, wow, we got to keep an eye on them. And a player that's just really stood out this season so far, that's made you, say, wow, that's, where'd this come from?
I think Matt is from UPrep.
Yeah.
He's like really hard to guard. He's smooth. He changes direction, changes pace. Real well. He's hard to guard.
And I think he's under the radar. People are not talking about him, but he honestly is one of the top 3 or 4 guards in Section 5.
No, he might be one of the 3 or 4 best players in Section 5.
Yeah, he's good. As far as some surprising players, believe it or not, I like Aiden Cook's game at Penfield. Aiden Cook gets so much height. There's not a lot of players that can get that kind of height on the 3. And he flat out can shoot the ball. He could shoot the ball off the dribble. If he's set, you could be in his face. I like pure shooters like that, where it doesn't matter when he releases that ball, 50% from the 3 from behind the arc. 50% of the time it's going in. So as far as he's probably the most impressive shooter for me.
Yeah, I think he might be the best shooter in Section 5.
Only because of how
amazing.
But like his height, just watch him when he shoots. His height is absolutely ridiculous. It's hard to guard, and if you try to guard him, he creates that foul. So I'm impressed with his shooting ability. How people could be in his face, how he could get a shot off. Yeah. He could create his own shot. He's impressive to watch.
And
I'll
talk about this all the time on air. I'm like jealous of left-handed players, and he's left-handed. So everything that he does, I'm always like in awe of what he does, because he's obviously a great shooter, but with him being left-handed, it looks 10 times prettier. So shout out to Mr.
Why are you left-handers? Why can't they all shoot? They all got the same stroke. They all got such a nice stroke.
It's pretty to look.
Yeah.
So another basketball question. Not necessarily a team that's your Menden, I guess Menden in both boys and girls, or Aquinas in boys basketball. But what's a team that's kind of exceeded your expectations and can make a run if the things I guess shake out in their way?
I would say Victor, because they lost so much last year. They lost, Connor Williams. They lost CJ. They lost some guards, and yet they only got one loss this year in a tough Monroe County league.
For me, it's a little bit different. I think that if Webster Thomas, if Webster Thomas gets going, if all three of those kids are clicking,
that's Andrew Quinn,
yep,
Jason,
and Mason,
Jackson Kulik, and Sean Mason.
And Sean Mason. If those three are clicking, they're dangerous because you have a pure shooter, you have a really good, and people don't understand. Kulik, offensively, he could score, but he's really good defensively. He literally shut that ironic game, right? Yeah. And that's how they've won a couple of games that people swear they shouldn't have won. They're under the radar. But if all three, I'm surprised at some of their wins because you just didn't see them coming at the beginning of the year. They're well coached. I mean, they have a coach that played at a high level. So when you have these coaches that's been in these situations, not so long ago, I mean, he's older, but he's been in these situations. I think that those type of coaches bring a different edge to coaching. And they bought into his system. A little bit of a surprise for me. And if all three clicking, the shooter, the guard, if all three are clicking, they're a deadly team.
And then just one more thing, just want to touch on one more thing is AA girls. This is a class that has really seen a lot of kind of like in AA boys, just teams knocking off each other. And it's tough to tell right now because Bishop Kearney hasn't played any of these Section 5 teams. It might just get to sectionals and, Kaya Good and Bishop Kearney is just at a different level. We might not know yet, but what have you kind of seen from all that so far this season?
It's a lot like the AA boys. You just don't know who's going to win that day. Anybody can knock each other off. Now, Kaya Good, she's been great.
She's great.
Yeah.
She's great. And they have young guards. Anaya and Amaya, they could shoot it. And Headley, nobody's talking about her. Kaden, nobody's talking about her. She's really good. But I agree with you. Like, we haven't really seen them play to compare anybody in Section 5. Fairport, however, Bella Pucci, Elameben, and Buckley. Yeah. If these three girls, first of all, I call them a three-headed monster because Buckley, she could actually shoot it from outside. Yeah. People don't know that. Yeah. But she dives on the floor. She does all the little dirty work. She rebounds really well. She plays hard. But Bella is so good. She distributes. She passes. Fairport right now is deadly, right? So if Fairport goes against Kearney, you don't know, right?
Penfield, they've been a little inconsistent, They'll lose some games and then they'll have really great wins. So it depends on,
You're right.
So unpredictable.
Yeah, you're right with that. Like Penfield, that's one of the top girl coaches in Section 5 also. So you could never sleep on them by any stretch of the imagination. They got Faclaris, they got, but they started out so strong at the beginning.
They beat Menden
convincingly beat Menden, and then they lost to Hilton. So
Hilton's good.
And Hilton is good at Mallory Heights. Yeah, but Mallory Heights and all of that. So I think that I agree with you. I think that there's 4 teams in that top tier, 4 or 5, that could be anybody's game too, also for AA. Mm-hmm. But Fairport right now, and Fairport and Bishop Kearney, I would say are probably the most consistent in their winnings. So Bishop Kearney started out slow. They were 0-2.
That was out of town.
I was about to say, yep. But boy, once they're on, that's it.
It all starts with Kaya Good.
It all starts with Kaya Good, and it starts and ends for her.
And I think the big question mark is, how are the young girls, Amaya and Anaya, how are they going to handle
the pressure during sectionals, the experience, and all of that stuff? Yeah.
Moving away from basketball just for a little bit here to a topic that's important to you guys, important to all of us now. Matt Trabold week you guys are doing right now, hashtag it's okay not to be okay. Just kind of tell us a little bit about what you guys got going on there this week, what you guys are trying to do.
Well, we understand that Mental Health Week was in May. However, because May is warm and we wanted to send a message, so we said we want to do it probably the coldest time of the year that we could find, because anyone that knows Matt knows one thing, that he would be in shorts in sub-degree weather. And with this type of weather, this is right up his alley right here, right? All the snow. So we decided to do it like the first week of February, and we want to do that every year. And it's basically just sending a message to our young adults, wearing shorts. They don't have to even say anything. We ask superintendents, principals, athletic directors. Sandra Dorley did it. Todd Baxter's sheriff's office did it.
Judges.
A few judges, a few high school principals. But it kind of, to be honest with you, it took us by surprise. The kids have literally hijacked it, right? Which is a good thing. It's a good hijack. So all the kids, like kids all over Section 5, are doing it or have done it. And we're hearing from a lot of counselors, a lot of school administrators saying, we didn't expect a lot of, kids are coming into their office, kids are talking more. And it's just to basically get rid of the stigma, AJ. You can be, our friend Matt, like every time you see him, he's ready to talk basketball, he's ready to smile, he's ready. And you know what? We want to send a message to young adults that don't make permanent decisions for temporary problems. Life happens, right? Things happen in life. Everybody, the sun will always shine tomorrow. Talk to somebody. It doesn't have to be another adult. Talk to a peer, a trusted person that you know. And it was just to send a message.
Yeah, because people who don't know Matt, they see kids in shorts. And why are you wearing shorts? It's cold. And then they explain, and so that brought awareness to, throughout the school.
And then my inbox is crazy. I had 134 messages yesterday alone, from young adults, from graduates of Section 5, from various people. And it becomes overwhelming because it's a serious topic. And what I'm trying to do is let young adults know that life is precious, and there's people in your life that loves you. There's always that one person that's going to always love you, and you might not feel love. So let's talk to people about it. It's not a 1 week campaign for us. It's 1 week. The Matt Trabold week is 1 week, but this is part of our platform, something that we're very serious about, something that we're going to continue to spread the word to young adults. We consider ourselves to give our kids safe space. Dr. Seifert took questions from kids, from young adults, and a lot of kids were asking him questions. We don't censor. That's one thing we will not do. We don't censor our kids in any shape, way, or form. So, and sometimes that might be a problem for some adults because they kind of want us to keep kids packed in, but we allow them to a safe space in our platform to say, do anything that they want to make them feel good about themselves. And we have about 10 to 12,000 young adults under the age of 25 that follows that page.
Yeah, and also a bunch of therapists have reached out.
Yeah.
And they want to help. So we're going to maybe collaborate, or it's still a work in progress.
We're going to add a mental health specialist, a therapist on our board of directors. We're going to have a committee set up with actual therapists to give us advice, to probably team up with other organizations to do this, because obviously we have the platform. And the reason why we included law enforcement and like Sandra Dorley and all that, is to also send a message, not just to athletes, right? Like athletes know us, but we wanted to send a message to every young adult that the community got them.
Got you. And we talked last Sunday at the Aquinas game about the mission that you guys have, and honestly, it brought me back to when I was a kid, because I personally didn't struggle with this, but I know a lot of kids who did, and they didn't really have anyone to talk to. So it's important that they know on a grand scheme that it's okay to not be okay, like you guys talked about. So just talking about that a little bit more, what's been the reaction from, I guess, young adults, the players, the coaches, because it's difficult as a kid to admit that you're struggling. We've all been at that age before where you don't want to talk about those type of things, but this is the perfect week for them to do so. What has been the reaction from the kids in general?
You know what's crazy, Carl? To me, the craziest thing more than anything else is the actual reaction from the kids. it's unbelievable how the young adults have not only hijacked this, I'm talking about like 14 to 17. I mean, my inbox, and he'll tell you.
It's mostly thanks. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
I went to see a counselor today.
yeah,
You
we
know,
had
things
that.
like that. Yeah.
A counselor, a kid walked into his counselor's office, a counselor saw me at a game and said, thank you, because I had a kid walked into my office and just said, that same day, and just said, I'm not okay. That's all the kid said. I'm not okay. Because that's, it's a theme for this week. And that's my point, especially when you're a male. And culturally, I mean, I'm going to go there. It's a tough topic to go to, but I'm going to go there, especially young men of color. They're taught to be tough. Culturally, the people don't understand, even with mental health and asking for help. Young men of color, I had a graduate this morning, he texted me, a graduate of Section 5, one of the top football players in Section 5, that left for Section 5 over the last 5 years, within the last 5 years. He inboxed me playing at the highest level, playing at a very high level. And he said, Miss, keep talking about it. I'm a young adult that knows that what kids go through. Keep talking about it. So it's always those people tell me to keep talking about it.
Yeah, and Carl, what do most kids, city kids, what do they think they're going to be when they grow up?
Then you go into the league or you trying to rap, one of the two.
Yeah, one of the two, exactly.
You see, we didn't even rehearse that. Go ahead.
So yeah, and when that doesn't happen, so in their minds they're going to be like multi-millionaires, and then they graduate from high school, and even if they were a star athlete, then it doesn't happen. And some people, they feed this to them like, oh, you're going to the NBA, you're doing this, and then it doesn't happen. Then what?
And that's why I say you can't lie to our kids. You can't tell them that they're going to the league. You can't say, just because you could drop 25 in Section 5, this is a big country. The NBA got people from Lithuania, from all over. So we try to tell people, you understand what I'm saying, right?
I always say it's irresponsible for us to tell kids, oh, you're going to the NBA.
He's never said that.
Because, one of the best things I think I ever did as a dad was because when my son was 2 years old, people were telling him he was going to the NBA.
All his life.
Yeah. So, but I kept it real with him. Look at me, I'm 5'5". Wait,
it's
you're
not
going
gonna
to
happen.
the NBA. So, I'll support you and everything. But yeah, I mean, yes, it's good there's a very fine line between support and reality.
Yeah. And that leads to other things, right? That leads, especially in athletes, AJ and Carl, you understand, in athletes, they're dominating in like say Section 5 or in their schools, right? And then they're not getting any recruitment letters. They're not getting this. So that leads to a lot of other things. So, I mean, and that's some of the things Carl asked a question about that. That's some of the things that kids are asking me. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not getting, he knows, I'm not getting any offers. That person got more offers. That person got offers. Like, so you get a lot of that. So in the sports world, like kids will ask me, how do we talk to my coach about playing time? Because they have confidence issues now, right? Because confidence, when your confidence is low, they're not getting as much love, or they'll send me videos to post because they had one basket in one game and they just want Primetime to feature that one basket, which I'll post.
Yeah, like when I was teaching at School of the Arts, I was a phys ed teacher, and these dudes would come out of gym class. Yo, man, I'm nice. You saw what I just did in gym class. I said, you did that against piano players, dancers, and painters. Come on, man.
You're not going to the league. You're not even on the team, right? But that's the thing about keeping in perspective. I mean, we're laughing and joking about it. But you know what? We have to we have to set realistic expectations. We have to love on our kids, but set realistic expectations for kids, especially in sports, right? But we also have hired, like one of the examples, I had a swimmer. I'll give you an example. I had a elite swimmer in Section 5. And she said, both my mom and dad swam. And how do I tell them that I don't want to swim? Because I guess in swimming, there's no time off.
Yeah, 1 day off, right?
They have 1 day off. And then even when sectionals is done, they start swimming for their clubs right away. Like, so sectionals will be this week, and then they'll go to state, and then right after states, like the next day, they're at club practice. So she sent me this long text. How do I tell my parents I don't want to swim? I'm like, yo, y'all kind of heavy on me right now. So like, I'll talk to Dr. Cypher. How do I answer this question? Because I don't pretend to be any type of professional in this matter. So I have people in my circle that are, and Dr. Cypher said, well, do this, send this. This is how you say it. So, you know, we understand that this platform is now blown up, especially with this. Can we walk away from this? Never. Are we going to always talk about Matt Trabold? Absolutely, because he's the GOAT of sports coverage. When he walked into a game, his presence was so, he just magnified the dream, because all the kids, like in basketball, they'll dive on the floor more, right? Because they know they'll play a little bit harder because they know Matt will capture that. And I would like to think that, you know, and a lot of people didn't know this, but he helped us write a lot of our shows. Like he gave us ideas for shows. He was a part of our, we had people that picked like the top 40 that we release every week. Matt was one of our main people. And I'm like, Matt, this is me and Matt. Every Sunday morning, Matt will text me on Saturday. I'm sending my top 40. Okay, Matt. And I'll text Matt, I don't need a thesis. Just send me the name and we're
He'd give it to you anyway, wouldn't he?
AJ, you know him, right? The text message, I'm thinking like, Matt, I don't need to know how much rebounds, how much that he took 3 charges last week. I don't need that. But every single Sunday, it's the same exact text with like a thesis statement on every kid. And I wonder, how does he know all of this stuff? So I miss my friends. I do miss my friends a lot.
Yeah, we definitely do all. And then you know, just kind of, you know, talking about the movement that we've seen. And I think what kind of might be one of the biggest things is, you know, I was at the Victor men and girls games. You see like the whole student section, you know, holding up you know, your signs and things like that. You get the team photos with everybody and stuff like that. And just kind of to make it, you know, not to, you know, gloss over, you know, to make it cool to talk about this stuff, where if you see, you know, you're, you know, the star athlete on your team, your leader of the student section, things like that, everybody doing that, even if you're not like in that group or whatever, you know, like that, when you see it to the fact where, you know, it's you know, mental illness is, you know, on the same level of, you know, a physical illness, where if it's a problem, it's a problem. You have to go get it talked about. How have you kind of seen that, you know, kind of make waves throughout maybe some of these schools, or, you know, these high schools, things like that?
That's a great question, AJ. I'm glad that you picked up on that, right? So that's why, as I said, I tell people all the time, I'm very student driven. Not like I don't care what adults think. I really actually don't. I really am student driven. So a lot of this, everything I do is from a student perspective, like from a young adult perspective. So I'm always thinking between 14 and 24. That's how I look at them, right? So when I decided to do this, I wanted a hashtag, because that's all they know. Everybody under 24 knows how to hashtag, right? We wanted it to be cool to ask. So I know I'm non-traditional, and maybe some experts are saying, she's making this too light. Like, she's making it kind of cool. And they might not understand how my method, but you are right. I wanted the star athlete. I wanted Nolan Smith from HFL, the 6'6" football and basketball player, to say, yeah, if you need help, ask for help. I wanted Maeve O'Brien, who's going to Harvard for lacrosse. I wanted her to say, I wanted Max Bulling. These are some of the top athletes, right? Because you are right. It's how to, I'm not trying to lighten it. I am trying to make it in their way. This is their connection. And that's why adults don't understand some of the things I do. But you picked up on that, probably because you're young too. But you picked up on that because I wanted student sections involved. That's part of what this whole movement is. So if kids see other kids, get a message from kids more than they get from an adult. And so when Carl says you walk into a game and people want selfies, all of that stuff, it's a weird phenomenon. It's weird for me to walk into Wegmans or walk into a game and people say, oh my God, you're the basketball lady. Oh my God, you're the primetime lady. Can I get a picture? Like, it's still weird. But
we appreciate it.
Oh, no, we love it. because it's sending the message, right? Because I'm a middle-aged Black woman that's an immigrant. I mean, I have nothing in common with a kid from Avoca, right? There's not a Black person in Avoca. When I walk into that gym, they all know Primetime though. But the point is using my platform in a positive way. So that's why on this platform, mental health is one of the topics we discuss. Racial issues. So sports is anybody can do it if you're good. It's the connection. So for example, on Sundays, you put on your jersey, you're watching the Bills game, everybody's cheering together, right? These guys are in a stadium, 80,000 people in a stadium from all different backgrounds, all different races, all different income level, but they're cheering for one team. And that's how I look at Primetime. We want to be that bridge where we're all in this together.
So I've talked about this with AJ a little bit, and also you guys as well. When someone with a camera or someone with any type of platform, right, and in this day and age, social media platform, walks into a gym, the kids play harder. I mean, me and AJ, we just played ball within the past 6 or 7 years, and I mean, when that one time where the news comes, or in your case, social media comes, right? The kids play a lot harder. They're passionate, this, that, and the third. But then it goes to another level when it's not just ball. It's the platform that you guys have in terms of the mental health thing. And I think that's what makes this this week, and I guess your mission initiative so cool, that I'm not just playing hard because I'm going to be on TV or be on Twitter or IG this week. I'm gonna go a little bit harder because there's a bigger theme and bigger message in terms of everything else that's going on. So I just wanted to comment on that, and if you guys want to expound on that a little bit, because I know what it was like when I was 16 years old and I saw my news station walk in. I know what it was like when the social media guy walked into the gym. And then when there was a theme for that week, when it came around in the city of Cleveland at the time, I got to dive on the floor a little bit because I'm trying to be on Twitter or TV. So I'm sure you guys have seen that a little bit more this week as well.
Oh, absolutely. You have to understand. So you grew up in an age where you never unplug. So you guys have a phone. You've always, it's by you. You first when you wake up in the morning, you grab your phone. It's literally next to you when you sleep. It's in your car. So this generation, you guys don't know how to unplug. We just, as growing up, we just turned the TV off and we went to bed. We didn't have any Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We didn't have any of that. So kids are always, like, there's no unplugging. I mean, if you think about that, because it's hard for you to think about that because you're so young. So that's all you've known, right? Like, you don't even know anything else. So when we were growing up, and I thought to Gerard all the time, if I had Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter when I was growing up, hell, I might not even ever have a job.
Yeah,
like
I definitely would not have. Yeah.
I mean, you guys are always on they put videos on a phone, like everybody is like at any time. And I'm thinking about my college days and all of those days, and I'm thinking like, glad those didn't exist. So he's really glad.
I really enjoyed college.
He put it so much, he did an extra year at phys ed. He was a phys ed major taking trampolining and had to do an extra year. I was a chemical engineering major and was fine. This just tells you he had a great time. So phones couldn't have existed back then. He would never have gotten hired as a teacher or a coach. Okay, let me say it.
Absolutely, she speaks the truth.
But the point is that there's no unplugging, and you guys are always on. It's always on. So I like what Carl said. Carl said, you know what? When I was 16, I used to do this. We're hoping that something like this will send a message, but not only send a message, but also be a continuation of looking out for each other. Because this is kind of like looking out for each other. At the end of the day, this message is like, just check on your guys, check on your peeps. Mm-hmm. That's one thing I always hashtag to, check on your peeps. Like, you know, I called one of my friends. I was like, girl, you good? I ain't talked to you in about a month. The time went by because I was sending a message to check on your peeps. And that day I made sure I text 3 people that I have not texted or called in like a month, 6 weeks, because time goes by so fast in our world that those are the little things. Just check on your peeps because there are people, and then just don't take, I'm good. Don't take that, you know, I'm good. Kind of delve a little bit more into I'm good. What does that mean? And it's just basically caring for each other. That's all I'm saying. It all sounds corny, but it helps in all aspects of somebody's world.
Yeah, definitely. And I know you guys have some resources on your website there for things like that. If you want to just talk about that and what people can find there if they want to go check it out.
So on our website, they can just click on. We have various sources, and what we're doing is we're cleaning it up for it to be easy to look at. So our website guy and my technology board member Gary, they're cleaning it up. So let's say if a kid is struggling with depression, these are the areas where you could go. If you're struggling with eating disorder, these are the sources. So we're trying to make it easier for young adults to access this information. So we use the NAMI website. So we put all of that on there. So what we're doing now, we put it on there temporarily. Now we're cleaning it up. Who takes insurance? What type of insurance they take? What's the, because people don't understand. It's sometimes hard to have access. So there's some places you could be hurting, but if you don't have insurance, you can't go there. That's crazy to me. That's ridiculous. So on our website, we're going to differentiate those kind of things.
Yeah, definitely. And we will link to this in our web post, and we'll have all links on rochesterfirst.com to get to that. We really appreciate your time. We really appreciate what you're doing. Like we said, it's just a really great thing to have here in Section 5, both for the athletic side of it and for everything else. So Carl, you have any last words for us?
I just want to say I really appreciate you guys for coming on. I think I speak for AJ. I think real recognizes real, and you guys are authentic as it comes. So I'm happy that we have another voice here in Section 5 that can cut through kind of like the other mediums and just is a straight shooter. So I really appreciate that and your guys' time.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. And now we're back, just the two of us. Once again, I want to thank Karen and Gerard for joining us. Always keeping it real, whether it's about, what they're seeing on the court or, the mental health awareness thing, which is, really important in this day and age. Had a little bit of, problems with the connection there at times. So hopefully the message got through there. But yeah, just a really great, a pair to talk to, insight on all types of matters, as you guys just heard.
Yeah, I mean, they're very authentic. They're the way I like to word it, they're unapologetically them. So that's always the best type of people to be around. They were great. I hope you guys learned a few things because they definitely hit home for some things with me in terms of me being a young man of color, and especially that played ball, and some of the stuff that they said, I'm like, man, that definitely sounds like CJ 6-7 years ago. So if I hope that message that they put on today and for this week hit home with someone else out there, and because all it takes is one.
Certainly. It's a big, we got in touch to a lot of the basketball stuff, so we don't have our regular teams of the week under the radar things to watch. But we got a feature Carl just ran on Webster Thomas boys basketball that you can find that at rochesterfirst.com. We got a great slate of games coming up this week for round ball. If all of them don't get canceled from the snow, I think it's going to taper off, so we should be good. But we got North Star, and we've got Rochester Academy. We've got Edison, and we've got East. We got some, the powerhouse and girls basketball going at it. So we got a lot of great action for you coming up on round ball. We had 13 games last week. So we had 13 games last week. That was all. It's getting to the point where it's almost too many, but we love doing it all the time.
We love the kids.
We get everybody, man, we get 26 teams on in one night. That's just, when you think about it that way, it just makes us sound even better. Why don't we just, and so there's like 10 or 15 on a team. We're getting 400 kids on the air every night. So, hey, we try our best. We try our best. We do our best.
Yeah, AJ and Carl love the kids. They love the kids.
They run us ragged, but we love doing it. So that'll do us for the high school huddle this week. We've got playoffs coming up in both basketball and hockey and all the other sports. We're going to see if we can get some more guests on coming up soon, break things down as we gear up in the sectionals. I'm sure we'll get our good friend Mary Margaret Johnson on to preview when Section 5 and 6 start doing battles. So we appreciate you guys for listening. We are now on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So we got multiple ways you can check us out. Of course, rochesterfirst.com is always the spot you can find this. So for Carl Jones, I'm AJ Feldman. It's time to break the huddle. We once again want to thank the Primetime 585 gang for joining us. We will see you next week. Thank you very much for listening.